Thought I would talk about. Oh, we're live now. Hello, my baby gorillas. I don't know if I said that twice. I thought I would talk about Georgie Porgie, wee Georgie Porgie Galloway, and his election to Parliament, and whether or not wee Georgie Porgie. Apparently, wee Georgie Porgie has got 300 members of the National Socialist Workers' Party of Great Britain in tow just now. And if you think about wee Georgie Porgie came second in Batley in Spain, I think, if I can, and he's obviously now just won his constituency just now. If Albert Steptoe, Jeremy Corbyn jumps ship and actually joins Georgie Porgie's Workers' Party, the National Socialist Workers' Party of Great Britain, that he will, and they're combining with the Islamists as well, so they've got really a lot of anti-Semitism. The Marxists and the Islamists are combining to form this anti-Semitic sort of party. We'll be expecting them goose-stepping down the Trafalgar Square any day now. And this new National Socialist Party, so Georgie Porgie, congratulations, has been elected to the British Parliament. So what does that mean? Well, like Lee Anderson, he's only going to be in there for a relatively short period of time. It could be literally months if it's a May election, which I don't think it's going to be. It could be months. I think it's more likely to be November, because if he goes in the summer, if Pishy Rishi goes in the summer, it just means they're going to get wiped out quicker. And I would have thought that delaying till November, I think November's probably going to be the time he's going to delay it as much as possible, so they can get as much of his nonsense through from the WEF as possible. And Georgie Porgie Galloway is going to cause problems. So you've got on the left, you've got the National Socialist Workers' Party fielding 300 candidates. If they get the 500 candidates, apparently a lot of people are self-funding, so they'll come up and say, right, we'll fund myself actually standing for the National Socialist Workers' Party of Great Britain. And they'll get so many candidates in. If Georgie Porgie is able to cover all the seats, that's going to be a massive dent to Liebour, because all the left-wingers will go, all right, well, one of Georgie Porgie's candidates are standing, so that could dent massively into the Liebour Party's overall popularity, which means that they're going to have less and less individuals to stand in their seats, or not stand in their seats, sorry, less and less people to actually vote for them, because there'll be a split between the Liebour Party and the National Socialist Workers' Party of Great Britain, with all the Islamists and the communists all going probably to the Workers' Party rather than Labour. And like the UK reform, if Albert Steptoe, Jeremy Corbyn, joins the GIMP, whether the GIMP goes from the GIMP Labour Party to the GIMP National Socialist Workers' Party, that's going to be a massive transformation to them as well. If he becomes a leader of the National Socialist Workers' Party and leaves Labour, because he's already get kicked out of Labour, he might stand as an independent, or he might join Georgie Porgie to become leader of the National Socialist Workers' Party, with the Islamists and the communists all joining together. And then that will have an effect on Labour's overall election prospects, because it'll split the vote. And also there's a chance that a number of the Brexiteer Labour voters could join Reform UK. So they could go, it's a double pull for the Labour Party, and really both Georgie Porgie and Reform UK need to target that soft Labour vote. And it's going to be a very interesting election, especially if Georgie Porgie gets 500 seats, or if Georgie Porgie gets our Workers' Party of Great Britain. So you've got a double squeeze there, and now obviously Georgie Porgie's back in the Parliament. We'll be seeing these anti-Jewish speeches, and they'll all be goose-stepping into the Parliament now. Once they get the Islamists and the communists inside. Don't forget, I already told you, that National Socialism is racist communism, just like the Wookie Wefter stuff, racist communism. Just different types, different strains of racist communism. And that's what National Socialism is. The Nazis. That's the real underlying ideology, not the ones that they just throw about saying, oh, he's a fascist, he's a Nazi and things. National Socialism is racist Marxism. Or ethno-nationalist Marxism. Either or. So Georgie Porgie's now thrown his lot in with the Islamists, which had already been doing for a long time. Obviously George's a Catholic, and it's very worrying that reading the Catholic Herald, that a large number of the priests in Catholicism are all paedophiles. Now the Pope is going over to talk to a church that is a paedophile for a profit. That's very, very concerning. I would suggest for the children. But George seems to think, oh, that's quite normal. There seems to be a problem between paedophilia in the Catholic Church, paedophilia in Islam, as the Prophet was a paedophile, and in left-wing circles where they want to be described as minor attractive people, there seems to be a correlation there with child rape and the infusion of these three different ideologies. So, Georgie Porgie has now successfully got in, and we're now going to see a squeeze. Now, Richard Tice again would have to squeeze the Labour vote in the red wall that turned into a blue wall, and is now going to be lost again by wee Pishy Rishi, because he doesn't know if it's New York or New Year. So he's finished. He's done. So is Hamas Hamza. He'll be out after the next election. It's funny that he said he would stay on once the SNP get decimated. He's going to stay on at the next election. Doesn't really make any sense. So I think George is going to have an influence on this general election as well, depending on how many, if he can get the 500 or 630, if he's at 300 just now and they can get another 300 candidates for every seat, it'll be very interesting to see what sort of dent the Workers' Party, the National Socialist Workers' Party of Great Britain, and do to the Labour and the Labour left, and especially if Jeremy Corbyn goes to Labour, as Nigel Farage could go to UK Reform. If both of those eventualities happened, then we would see potentially massive transfers of voters to these two parties, and a real impact in spreading the vote out from the globalist Wookie Wefter, what they call liberals, but I would say it was illiberal. But anyway, that's what the identitarian centre, or the identitarian liberals have taken on the far left's identitarian politics. So that's basically the situation that we find ourselves in. Georgie Porgie might shape British politics by getting the Wookie Wefter stuff into the National Socialist stuff into British politics, as we're seeing the mass marches on the UK with regards to this in London and Glasgow and Edinburgh. There's obviously a constituency for Islamo-Marxism. But he's not got long in. Like Lee Anderson, he's not got long to go till the election, whether it's May or November. I don't know if he can go to next year, but obviously the longer that Rishi Sunak is in power, the better it will be for Rishi Sunak. But I don't think he's got long left anyway. But George is now at a key situation. Although Georgie's time is short, his influence in the next election, especially if they've got 300 potential candidates, especially if they get up to 630 candidates in every seat, that's going to be massive organisation and also going to be a massive impact. And now that George has won his first actual seat, and if Jeremy Steptoe Corbyn comes across and joins as well, and Nigel joined the Reform UK, we're going to see a pool of the parties. You might see a complete realignment and a breaking of the traditional two-party system, which would be beneficial in the UK just now. We'd see totally different politics coming in, completely different. It could either be far left or probably centre right, and which has not been that really, well, maybe under Jeremy Corbyn, but not really under anything else. Have we seen such a disparate pool? So that's basically where we're at. It's very exciting stuff. Georgie Porgie's in in Parliament, and apparently they've got 300 potential candidates that are willing to put up their own money to stand. So if you want to stand as a part of the National Socialist Workers' Party of Great Britain, please contact the Workers' Party and contact Georgie Porgie, say David Ballantyne sent them, and hopefully put pressure on Uncle Albert, Jeremy Steptoe Corbyn, to join the Workers' Party, as well as Nigel joining UK Reform or Reform UK. Then we'll see some real fireworks. But baby gorillas,